Let's look next at another type of judgment, intentionality judgments, which are typically considered separate from morality judgments, non-moral judgments that are separate from moral judgments. Now, we're already well aware that when a person, whether they were intentionally doing wrong or accidentally doing wrong, clearly affects moral judgments. Here, we're going to look into how a person doing wrong or doing something considered morally praiseworthy actually affects judgments of intentionality. In other words, does whether an act is good or bad affect whether you perceive the actor to have been intentional, to have done it on purpose? Let's try the question out on your intuitions here. So here's Kylie Jenner. And on the left, we learn something about Kylie. She's visiting children with cleft lip and palate issues during a charity trip to Peru. Wow, so she seems really nice. And then you hear on the right there some different information about Kylie Jenner. The headline says, "She's the meanest girl in Hollywood. She called her fans gross, lied about being pregnant, called Khloe her ugly sister, and threw her birthday gifts in the garbage." So, wow, she now seems really mean. Ask yourself, did Kylie intentionally help the children? How likely or unlikely is that? Next, ask yourself, did Kylie intentionally insult her fans and sister? How likely or unlikely is that? Putting aside what you know about Kylie from your own, watching TV and social media, why do you think your intentionality judgments differed if they did? Is it because things like what kind of person is Kylie came to mind? Is it because the good or bad valence of her actions differed? So the Kylie Jenner test there was just a rough test of your intuitions about intentionality and moral valence. Next, let's look at how researchers have examined this in empirical work. Joshua Knobe investigated how dependent intentionality ratings are on whether the agent did something bad or good. Intentionality judgments are crucial to law, and it's huge if we can't trust that these judgments themselves are not systematically biased by the outcomes that are being judged. So Knobe designed a vignette study that pitted a harm-doing chairman of the board against a helping chairman of the board. In one condition, the vignette went like this. The vice president of a company went to the chairman of the board and said, "We're thinking of starting a new program. It will help us increase profits, but it will also harm the environment." The chairman of the board answered, "I don't care at all about harming the environment. I just want to make as much profit as I can. Let's start the program." They started the new program. Sure enough, the environment was harmed. Now ask yourself, did the chairman of the board intentionally harm the environment? Of course, harming the environment is just a side effect, but can you make a judgment about intentionality here? And how do you lean? Now compare your judgments to the alternative case. This comparison merely changes the outcome to helping. Here, the vice president of a company went to the chairman of the board and said, "We're thinking of starting a new program. It will help us increase profits and it will also help the environment." The chairman of the board answered, "I don't care at all about helping the environment. I just want to make as much profit as I can. Let's start the new program." They started the new program. Sure enough, the environment was helped. So now ask yourself, did the chairman of the board intentionally help the environment? How does this feel compared to when the environment was harmed? does it seem more or less like a side effect of the decision? Let's look at what they found. The results indicated that intentionality is tied up with the good or bad nature of the outcome. 82% of participants said that the chairman of the board intentionally harmed the environment. Only 23% said he intentionally helped the environment. So this harmful outcome skewed people's understanding of intentionality. Besides this striking relationship that was uncovered between morality and intentionality and the importance of valence, the finding shows that moral status was affecting a non-moral concept, the concept of intentionality. It's typically thought of as an input to moral judgment, not something that can be manipulated by the moral valence of an event. This suggests that people were doing evaluations of the chairman's role in the morally valenced events, and essentially deciding that harm doers had bad intentions, whereas helpers were much more likely to help as a side effect.